Yeah, Terry, I mean, Megan talked about the travel. Any worry about, if there's delays, kind of getting the team out of I know you guys are creatures of habit, worried about kind of that throwing them off if there are delays or issues with travel?
Well, yeah, here's the thing, Mike. There's just so much you can control. We cannot control the weather and what it's going to do. And so, we'll be a lot on our feet and we'll do what we have to do. But what we will not do is we will not get in any aircraft if it's unsafe. I can promise you that. But as of right now, everything is good to go. We're scheduled here to practice, film at 10, and then we're scheduled to be at the airport at 2 o'clock for a 2:30 departure.
Seth.
Yeah, Terry, when you were talking about this game the other night, and you mentioned the bitterness that you all felt after Caitlin Clark hit the buzzer beater last year to win that game. Is that feeling something that kind of sticks with you going into a rematch like this? Like, does that kind of give you all some extra fuel for a game like this?
Yeah, I don't know, Seth. We didn't talk about it. I think obviously, Chloe, because, she fell and was a little bit delayed in getting to Caitlin. As a coaching staff, we probably feel like we might have made a different decision, to put somebody on the ball. So all those things go through your mind, but at the end of the day, you can't change any of it. But we've always had great battles when we go over there and play. It's two really, really great teams, and I have my sense is that it's going to be another great battle between two really good teams. And we have to, whether they've it gives them extra motivation. I don't know. I just think, the motivation of what we're trying to do in terms of our goals. They're the next team that's on our schedule that we have to go and figure out a way to beat.
Mike, did you have another question? Hand still raised. I didn't know if you had something else.
Yeah, sure. In terms of Caitlin, where have you seen the growth in her game when you kind of watch film or scout her, as you've kind of seen through the last
Yeah.
3 years?
I think, and she's talked about her strength that she put on, the good strength, the good weight, I guess, in terms of her body and, her durability. I think that's part of it, her conditioning, her strength, the durability, because, so much is on her, in terms of scoring and taking a lot of shots, but also, she sees different coverages. So I think just probably mentally, the growth that she's had, the physical growth as well, are probably two things that, come to my mind. I mean, she's still taking shots from, where she's always taken them from, and making plays, which, are incredible, to watch. So, I think she's matured also as a player, on the floor. And so, yeah, and that's what I'm sure Coach Bluter has been more than surprised with, not surprised, pleasantly, happy with, how she's been able to grow, because that's what you want your players, to do, is grow every year.
Matthew.
Hi, Coach. This is probably going to be the biggest stage since Stanford. I know that earlier in the season you said that you don't necessarily care all too much about rankings and stuff, but do you think amongst you or the players talking amongst themselves, do you think that there's added motivation to kind of get one back on sort of primetime television after that Stanford loss?
Well, we talked a little bit about that yesterday. I think for us, we just want to perform better, than we did the second game of the season. And so I think we will. I think we've made improvements. I think we've grown as a basketball team. I said this yesterday with the Big Ten. One of the things about winning a championship, just because you do that a year ago doesn't mean then the following year you get to start in the middle of the mountain and climb. You got to start at the bottom again. And we've improved as a new team, as a different team than we were a year ago. We've improved since the Stanford game. And so, I think for us, it's a great opportunity to showcase, our program, Iowa's program, the Big Ten, on a national stage. And, I feel like it's going to be, as I mentioned, it's going to be a great battle between two really, really good teams.
Todd.
Terry, when it comes to your team, from the outside looking in with so many players back from last year, it would appear that the chemistry is very similar, but every team is its own entity. Every year is different. What's been different about the chemistry of the team this year versus last year?
I think if you ask our kids that question, Todd, they would tell you that it's probably better than it was a year ago. And, just in terms of, we're playing, more kids off the bench. They've always had they've had great chemistry, synergy. They love each other. They want each other to do well, and they're about each other. And so, when you have a team like that certainly helps on the floor. I don't care what anybody says. A team that's close in that locker room is typically connected and close on the floor. And so, I think that we've been really lucky here at Indiana, especially the last probably 5 years with the chemistry that we've had, and that's our culture, and that's being about something that's bigger than ourselves, and so it's continued to grow. But like I said, I've heard our kids talk before, and I've talked to them about locker rooms and so forth. And, they feel like it's even better than it was a year ago, which I think is a really good thing.
Skip.
And last year was really good. So.
Good morning, Coach. You guys had a little bit of challenge earlier in the week against the pressure, inbounding on against the pressure. 2 or 3 turnovers on the inbound. Of course, that pretty rapid fire 10 count. Crossing the line. Do you expect to see any full court press against Iowa, and what have you done to address that?
Yeah, I don't think that we'll see that, Skip. I don't know. I don't coach their team, but that's not something that they are, probably known for as far as pressure. Now, they will switch defenses. In the past, we've always prepared for a triangle and 2. We've prepared for a 2-3 zone, and certainly a man-to-man. So, they're like us, more half court oriented, from a defensive perspective. And so, that's what we've always prepared for. These are 2 teams that know each other quite well. So, that's been our preparation the last 2 days.
Seth, go ahead with last question.
Okay. Well, actually, 2 things, if that's okay.
She's got like 3 minutes. So.
Okay. Then obviously, Monica Sonano inside was a big presence for them last year. She's gone, and they have kind of Stolke inside now. Just from scouting them, just how has she been able to kind of fill in for them, and what are you looking for from that matchup between Mackenzie and Stolke?
Well, they've always had great post play. Jan Jensen, who's one of their associate head coaches, does a terrific job with their post play. And Stolke she's a great athlete. And so first, her rim running, is something that we're going to have to be prepared for. She probably has better ball skills than Cesano had when you bring her out on the perimeter. So our ability to be able to sit down and guard her off the bounce from the high post area, Mac will have to do without fouling. Lily will have to do without fouling. She's physical. And so, she's a challenge. I mean, yes, Cesano was, she and Mac had great battles, but, they've, Stolke's different, as far as her game, but nonetheless, she's very talented.
Did you have something else, Seth?
Yeah, and I was just going to ask, was it in fact just ice and tender loving care that Chloe needed on the ankle?
Yeah, that's exactly what she needed. She's good to go.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, guys.